Good afternoon. Today, we will be given a strategic analysis of GE Aerospace, including a full SWOT analysis along with specific strategic recommendations to help build and sustain their competitive advantage. Your presenters today will be myself, Brian Blackwell, Kalen Sosby, and Ryann Shepard. Let's pass it on to Kalen now, who will talk about the company's history, CEO, and current mission.
History and development of company over time. History. General Electric Company is a provider of financial services and industrial equipment. An array of products and services are provided by this company, including aircraft engines and helicopters, gas and steam turbines, as well as hydropower generation, industrial, medical imaging, patient monitoring, and diagnostics. Digital solutions, financing, and industrial products, financial solutions, underwriting capabilities, insurance services, working capital services, and working capital management are also provided. There are offices located in the American, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, where the company conducts business. Boston, Massachusetts is the company's headquarters. GE's $200 million advanced manufacturing works in Greenville, South Carolina, demonstrated the company's new and now rapidly reversed commitment to the U.S. manufacturing. Due to the mounting finance debt endured from previous mishaps, GE took the plunge to divide its company so that each division could focus on their core business. In April 2024, GE divided off its aviation division, creating GE Aerospace. GE Aerospace is a global leader in the jet engine manufacturing, supplying customers such as Boeing, Airbus, U.S. defense sector, and MRO services. The CEO. GE Aerospace is run by CEO H. Lawrence Culp Jr., who also holds a position on the board. The mission of this. GE's mission is a technology to enable more sustainable tomorrow. GE takes pride in being a forerunner in innovation and sustainable energy. This strategic advantage gives them the availability of resources that can cross the company's division and integrate their core competence. Now, I would like to turn this over to Katie, who will discuss the company's current strategies.
I would like to talk about GE's current business level strategies with you for just a minute. GE Aerospace primarily leans on their core competency of product innovation and technology. They have historically proved themselves to be innovative leaders in the global market, not just in aerospace, but in pretty much everything they put their hands on. A considerable amount of GE devotes their budget to research and development. This proves that innovation is a very strong sector for them. For example, in 2023 alone, GE provided a total of over $2 million out of the $3.5 million budgeted just in their aerospace division. Another very strong suit for GE is their strategic alliances through partnerships. GE understands the importance of partnerships when it comes to funding for research and development, how to enter new markets, and how to basically just ask for help. As you will see throughout this project, there are many strategic alliances that GE has partnered with that has given them the advantage to be able to emerge globally as well as locally. I believe that these are the biggest two strategies that GE Aerospace is able to incorporate and utilize to their advantage, and they do it really, really well. Now let's discuss the 5-force analysis that we completed of GE Aerospace. As you can see in the chart, The threat of new entrants is low. The bargaining power of suppliers, we give it about a medium rating. The threat of substitutes is very low. The bargaining power of customers is medium, and the rivalry among competition we consider is about medium. For the degree of rivalry competition, while this industry is very hard to enter, there are a few established firms that do compete for the business of major airline characters. And that's why we decided to give that about a medium. Let's let you know, not a whole lot of new people are coming in, but the people that are there do have a repertoire to them, and you are having to compete with them. Bargaining power of customers. Many aircraft leaders have the privilege of enforcing certain specifications. And while there are a few large item suppliers, for example, jet engines, manufacturers have the advantage of flowing down the requirements they need. In other words, Boeing will come and say, hey, I need this, no ifs, ands, or buts. So we gave them about a medium rating because they do have a lot of pull in that area. Now on the flip side, the bargaining power of suppliers, we also gave the medium rating because even though Boeing can come down and say, hey, this is what we want, when you only have 3 or 4 makers in the industry, you have a little wiggle room to say, hey, this is what you're getting. So that's why we kind of put them on the same playing field. There's not a whole lot of give and take they can have between the two, but they do need to be able to work together. The threat of substitutes we put as low because, as I mentioned earlier, jet engines in particular, they are a huge cost, R&D. It's a very long lead time to get anything. Even restructuring a current one takes years. So the threats of coming in and finding substitutes for your particular engine are going to be very hard to find. Now, there are more manufacturers out there, but they won't exactly be able to substitute what you need. The threat of new entrants is extremely low. Like I said, it's very capitally intensive to get started in this industry. And the long lead times, you can't just go out and make an engine and sell it to somebody. So the threat of any new entrances is very, very low right now in our industry. Rivalry among competition is medium. Again, there's only about 4 or 5 main engine manufacturers out there. But those same 4 to 5 are competing for the bulk of the business with, for instance, Boeing, Airbus, defense sector. It's not, you've got a niche that you're having to deal with, a niche market. You're not just selling pencils for schools. So the rivalry can get intense from time to time. So we put that at about a medium to account for that. Let's briefly go over what we found in our external analysis and our opportunities, our threats, competitive environment. There are many opportunities available in the market right now for air travel. For instance, the U.S. defense spending is steadily growing. Along with that, government contracting, aka the defense sector, generates around 65% of the aerospace and defense industry revenue. So that's a huge opportunity area for GE Aerospace to get in and diversify a little bit. Global aircraft fleet in general on the commercial side is also projected to grow 2.9% over the next 20 years. So that's another big push that is available to GE. One that goes more on the environmental aspect is there are increasingly strict emission standards that are requiring improvements in fuel efficiency and noise reduction. That could, that money's got to be devoted to R&D and everything, but that could be a huge payoff for GE Aerospace should they decide to pursue it. Now, there also are some threats. Like with every company, they're experiencing labor shortages, inflation shortages right now. Across the board, can't nobody get parts, can't nobody hire anybody. So that's, of course, affecting GE Aerospace as well. Another recent threat they've been having is Boeing. Their primary customer has been experiencing a lot of quality and safety concerns lately. That's making end customers very skeptical of purchasing new aircraft. So that's that's a way that we need to diversify a little in GE Aerospace. Also, a bunch of the major aircraft manufacturers are now offering multiple options for their engines, whereas used to you could have a pretty much a contract with Boeing to be an exclusive supplier. Now they're opening the door more and offering more options. So that's a little threat to their environment. As far as competitive environment, jet engines do have a somewhat bittersweet luxury of having a small competitive environment. Your prime suppliers are really just Rolls-Royce, GE Aerospace, and Pratt and Whitney. There are others, but those are your big three, along with CFM International, who partners with GE Aerospace. As you can see in this graph right here, CFM International holds the biggest single market share, but since they are partnered with General Electric Aerospace, together they hold about a 55% commercial jet engine market, which is huge. That is awesome. GE made this strategic alliance partnership, and they did a great job with this. So overall, there's quite a few opportunities, and there is some threats out there, and that's just a matter of trying to find the new normal in this new life we've all got. Next, let's see Brian Blackwell, who is going to discuss our internal analysis that we found on GE Aerospace.
Today, let's talk about some of the things we found in our internal analysis for GE Aerospace. Some very strategic strengths that we have located are the fact that GE is a globally recognized brand, meaning you can go anywhere in the world, and I guarantee that someone has heard of GE. The management team, after incorporating the new CEO, Lawrence Culp Jr., now have a very strong management team whose goal is overall debt reduction, and they have done an amazing job at that, with over $100 billion reduced throughout 2023. Another strong point is their strategic ability. For example, they have gone from the brink of financial bankruptcy to a return success story, mainly due to the new management of CEO, Mr. Culp Jr. But on the flip side, they do have some weaknesses, but they can work on those. We did find that, like most other companies in the world today, their dependence on the global supply chain really hurts their response to customers. They still have a very high debt to equity ratio at 80.3%, and their return on assets are only 2.1%, which means they're not effectively receiving a return on those assets. As I stated earlier, GE itself was on the brink of bankruptcy, and they took this strategic initiative to divide into 3 separate publicly traded companies so that they could receive a more transparent look at their debt, while also not punishing certain divisions that are doing well. For example, GE Aerospace is the prime revenue generator for GE as a whole, and it was not fair to hold everyone debt accountable when the financial division of GE is what amassed the debt in the first place. Now, let's take a look at our SWOT chart and discuss some of the significant findings we had after doing our external and internal analysis. As you can see, some of our strengths within our company is innovation, brand image, and lean management. These are things that GE Aerospace all do really well. Some of the weaknesses we've identified is the financial operation concerns in regards to the fact that GE is still in a lot of debt they're having to come out of, hence the reason for the division of the companies and also for product diversification. Our major opportunities that we picked out were improvements in fuel efficiency, U.S. defense sector spending is starting to grow, and the global aircraft fleet is expected to grow in the future. A few threats we identified are the labor shortages, various supply chain issues, and commercial OEM decline. The most significant things we found in all these is that while GE Aerospace is a very profitable company, they neglect to utilize the huge rewards that could be found in the defense sector. While they do have defense contracts, the bulk of their business is tied up in the commercial sector and primarily in Boeing. But as we all know, Boeing has had their fair share of quality and safety concerns recently, which might be what GE needs to see to open their eyes and diversify a little bit. A great strategic initiative that they undertook was in their management field in the company restructurings that they have recently undergone. Again, they were in a mountain of debt, and now going to buy these three companies, they are able to transparently see where this debt falls and how to tackle it going forward. Now let's turn it over to Ryan, who will be discussing corporate social responsibility.
I'm going to be talking about corporate social responsibility and ethical environment. The corporate social responsibility is an essential aspect of business operations that involves a company's commitment to managing its social, environmental, and economic impacts, responsibly and ethically. In context of GE Aerospace, the corporate social responsibility plays a crucial role in shaping the company's approach to innovation, sustainability, and community engagement. GE Aerospace recognizes the importance of reducing its carbon footprint, promoting sustainable practices, and investing in technologies that contribute environmental conservation. Additionally, the company is committed to fostering a diverse and inclusive workplace, ensuring equal opportunities for employees, and supporting local communities through new initiatives and volunteer programs. In creating ethical environment, GE Aerospace prioritizes integrity, transparency, and accountability in all of its business dealings. The company adheres to strict ethical standards and compliance protocols to ensure that its operations are conducted with the highest level of honesty and fairness. GE Aerospace values open communication and encourages its employees to report any concerns of ethical issues they encounter without the fear of retaliation. By promoting a culture of ethics responsibility, GE Aerospace aims to build trust among its stakeholders, strengthen the reputation within the industry, and contribute to the long-term success and sustainability of the business. And now I'm going to turn it over to Katie to discuss the GE Aerospace approach to the global market.
All right, let's switch gears a little to GE Aerospace's global business and global approach. GE Aerospace is very in touch with the importance of a global market in today's world. One of their biggest example is their joint venture with the French engine maker Safran through the partnership CFM International. As I stated earlier, CFM International partnered with GE, hold 55% of the global market share for commercial jet engines alone, which is awesome. This partnership gives GE the ability to share capital expenditures and start opening doors in the global marketplace. As a matter of fact, this partnership has given GE the distinct honor to say they power 3 out of every 4 commercial flights across the globe. That's awesome. Excuse me. With their primary customers for GE Aerospace are Boeing and Airbus. While Boeing is more of a domestic, Airbus is a European company. So that's another huge footprint that GE Aerospace has across the international market. Global commercial departures are going to continue to grow, and GE Aerospace is in a great position, already have their foot in the door to when new contracts start coming in, or when customers want to redesign or whatever. They're in a great position to be able to pursue these avenues. By operating in these numerous global regions, GE does tend to follow more of a standardization model of business. The economic drive for their standardization is that their project is not necessarily customized by region. Their product, being jet engines, are customized by the customers. So whatever Boeing wants, whatever Airbus wants, whatever the defense sector wants, it's not, hey, we're going to go to Europe and take in Europe's culture and start making it this way. They actually benefit from a standardization because they can reach that economy of scale and just make everything straight on out the line. They don't have to worry about this here, this here, and this here. A concern that GE is having to face, along with everybody else, is the political challenges that we are seeing right now, the geopolitical climate between the Russia-Ukraine war, civil unrest in the Middle East, and increased trade sanctions and restrictions with China. Again, this is something everybody's seeing, and GE is taking their time and due diligence to look at all this. Currently GE does do business in Europe, India, Asia, Middle East, Africa, pretty much all across the globe. GE has their hands in. So they are very well versed in the global marketplace, and they have a great global approach that we hope to see them continue doing. Last but certainly not least, we'd like to talk a little bit about the recommendations we have for GE Aerospace to help diversify the portfolio and give them a more sustainable competitive advantage. First off, we strongly recommend that GE devote some of their resources into the defense sector. Now, GE Aerospace does realize that this is a huge opportunity for them. They are currently slightly performing in the defense sector, but nowhere near enough to have any kind of market share. So they do know that this is a market that they can benefit from getting in deeper. Another recommendation we have for them, staying within the commercial department, is they need to diversify outside of Boeing a little bit. Now, they do have some business with Airbus, but the bulk of their contracts are with Boeing. And as we've seen, you know, Boeing's having a lot of issues right now, safety, quality concerns. And it's as someone who works for an aerospace manufacturer, it's very smart. I have learned not to have all your eggs in one basket. So this is something they might want to look at as well. Another big thing that GE does really well that they need to build upon is their innovation and R&D. If they wanted to expand, it's kind of a little unrelated diversification. If they wanted to expand their services more, they are in a great position to enhance their service sector, along with providing R&D. You know, whether you wanted to provide it for other companies or provide it for yourself and just build upon it, you know, they should devote a little more to their service sector. And our last is a kind of a horizontal diversification strategy they might like to try, because we're still staying in air travel. But a huge thing that has took off is space travel. I know that sounds very weird to say, but this is also an area. I mean, they're already making jet engines. You need a very powerful jet engine. This would be a perfect opportunity for them to combine their current jet engines with that new service R&D I was talking about, with engineering, and all throw them together and see if they can enter into the space market, see if they can get into SpaceX or Blue Origin or somebody who's really pioneering this field. We believe that all these would be huge advantages to GE Aerospace should they decide to pursue them. In conclusion, GE Aerospace is in an overall good strategic business position. They know what they are good at, and they try to leverage that as much as possible. We believe that we are going to see great things from this company in the future, especially now that they've been divided into their own sector. Now we can really see them shine. They can have a whole new image away from GE in general, and we will see GE Aerospace succeed.